me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about SummerSlam 1993. So, we got all the way back to August 30th, 1993, and the show was held from Auburn Hills, Michigan, which is basically the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan, which this year's SummerSlam 2023 is going to be held in Detroit, which is going to be pretty cool. But yeah, we go all the way back to August 30th, 1993 for SummerSlam. This isn't like the best SummerSlam, and the reason why is because like the main event just like leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I just hate the finish of the match between Yokozuna and Lex Luger. And apparently they were doing like some promotional stuff, made like a promotional poster between Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart. Kind of like fighting over the title. They were supposed to do that there. And I think that would have got more of a bigger buy rate than what SummerSlam did. Because the buy rate for this show was 250,000. So maybe, they could have got to the 300,000 mark. I don't know. Or maybe a little bit above that if they had a different main event. But Hulk Hogan didn't want to do the job to Bret Hart. And Bret Hart's, told us, he's always been upset with Hulk Hogan. He's never really forgave Hulk Hogan for never wanting to do his job. And then everything that happened at WrestleMania, with Hogan beating Yokozuna in like 30 seconds, and then he planned on dropping the title to Yokozuna at King of the Ring and all that. I don't know. I think the bigger main event would have been Hogan and Bret Hart. But that's it. That's in my opinion. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this show. So the first match that kicked off the show was Razor Ramon going up against Ted DiBiase. Yeah, so this is basically Razor Ramon's like first pay-per-view working as a face, which I think was pretty cool here because at King of the Ring he was still heel. So yeah, this was his first show working as a face. And then Ted DiBiase, he was basically kind of on the way out of WWF at this point, because he had some back problems and some neck problems. So yeah, he was definitely on the way out. He wasn't the man that he used to be in the ring. But Ted DiBiase, he had a lot of control of this match. Working on Razor Ramon throughout the match. And there was one point where Ted DiBiase took off one of the turnbuckles, but ended up backfiring on Ted DiBiase, and he ended up running into the turnbuckle, and then Razor Ramon ended up hitting the Razor's Edge on Ted DiBiase to pick up the victory. I thought it was good. I think it would be cool to see Razor Ramon in the main event, between Yokozuna, because I don't know, like he had that physique about him, and like people didn't know that, he was going to be a huge star and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was an okay match. Razor Ramon was the right person to go over here, so nothing else to say. Next match we had was a tag team match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. We had the Steiner Brothers defending the titles against, so Rick and Scott Steiner defending titles against the Heavenly Bodies. Jimmy Del Rey and Tom Prichard, which is Bruce Prichard's brother. And in the corner of the Heavenly Bodies, they had Jim Cornette. To be honest, I think this was the match of the night right here. Like, surprisingly, I think this was definitely the match of the night. Like, both teams worked pretty well together. The Steiner brothers, they were hitting some nice suplexes and pretty nice T-bone suplexes. There was one point where I think it was Rick Steiner. He had like a nice power bomb in the match, and even the Heavenly Bodies. Fundamentally they looked pretty good in the ring. They were okay. I think they were also working for Smoky Mountain as well, but they never really had that WWE like package. Where they could have been really big in WWE, but. Yeah, the ending came when the Steiners, they did this Irish whip, and then Scotty Steiner, he did the Frankensteiner onto the heavenly bodies to get the 1, 2, 3. So still the WWF Tag Team Champions are the Steiner Brothers. And like I said, this was probably the best match of the show. And then the next match we had was the WWF Intercontinental Championship match. We had Shawn Michaels with Diesel defending the title against Mr. Perfect. And Shawn Michaels has, gone to state that this match here, like, it's two great wrestlers in the ring, but that they just didn't click with each other. Which I kind of have to agree with that, like, kind of from like a booking standpoint. Like, this match didn't click because not because they weren't good wrestlers, or like not because they didn't have any chemistry. No, these guys have really good chemistry, but there's something about this that didn't make sense. Maybe so we have Shawn Michaels, as a heel here, working as a heel, and then we have Mr. Perfect, working as a babyface, which is kind of weird. We usually have, it was kind of weird seeing Shawn Michaels do more of the selling. We usually see Mr. Perfect do more of the selling, so I was kind of surprised about that. And also, I think Shawn Michaels even said that, he was kind of out of shape at this point. Vince was kind of really, pissed off at him because, he wasn't in the best of shape. But I think, I have to say, Shawn Michaels didn't look the greatest in 93. I'll say, maybe a couple years down the road, he looked like in 95, that was one of the prime Shawn Michaels in the mid 90s. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Perfect was hitting some nice moves on Shawn Michaels in the match. He had a nice suplex. His Mr. Perfect hit his nice suplex in the ring. I'm trying to figure out what his finisher is called. Oh man, I know what his finisher. Yeah, he hit his nice his suplex in the ring. And then Diesel ended up getting involved and ended up, pulling Mr. Perfect out. And the match ended up ending by a count out. So so Shawn Michaels, he ended up retaining by a count out. That's basically, a heel move, what they would do. Yeah, I just wasn't a big fan of how this match ended. I hate how ton of matches end by countouts or disqualifications. But yeah, Shawn Michaels ended up retaining. Wasn't a big fan of this, but yeah, it is what it is. But both these guys, I don't know, they had some better matches over the years. But yeah, this match, something didn't click with this match. I don't know what it was. And then the next match we had was IRS going up against the 1, 2, 3 Kid, which is the 1, 2, 3 Kid is Sean Waltman, or X-Pac as he's known as well. And IRS is Iron R. Shyster. 1, 2, 3 Kid, he was, kind of has this look of like being like a jobber, guy who shouldn't be making it, guy who should be losing all of his matches. But back at this time, 1, 2, 3 Kid, he had a great victory over Razor Ramon on a Monday Night Raw, one of the best matches, from that year. Beat Razor Ramon. And, he just gets these quick, victories and stuff, and like he's pretty solid in the ring as well. But, 1, 2, 3 Kid was looking pretty good here. But IRS ended up winning when he hit a flying lariat to 1, 2, 3 Kid and got the win. It was a pretty short match. And like I said, a lot of these matches during this time were like very, very short. But yeah, IRS ended up winning here. And then the next match we had was Bret Hart. He was supposed to be going up against Jerry King Lawler. But Jerry King Lawler, he came out, basically cutting a promo, because they were in Michigan, saying he came out in a cast, came out like with some crutches in the cast on, saying that Detroit doesn't know how to make cars, and like he was in a car accident, trying to get to Detroit. So basically, he said that he's going to be facing one of his court members or someone like part of the royalty, whatever it was. So Jerry Lawler brought out Doink the Clown. And Bret Hart basically, he was had most of the advantage over Doink the Clown in the match. But Bret Hart ended up putting the sharpshooter on Doink, and then Jerry Lawler got in the ring, hit him with hit Bret Hart with the crutch, and then we had Jack Tunney come out because Jerry Lawler was leaving and stuff. So the Bret Hart beat Doink the Clown, okay, by disqualification. But yeah, Jerry Lawler, he was trying to run and escape from Bret Hart because Bret Hart was pissed that the match ended by DQ. But the president of WWF came out, Jack Tunney, and he said if Jerry Lawler doesn't get back to the ring, he's going to be suspended from WWE for life. He's never going to be able to wrestle in the company. So Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart ended up having a match. And then Bret Hart ends up putting Jerry Lawler into the sharpshooter. And Jerry Lawler taps out. But Bret Hart, he keeps the sharpshooter locked in. And the referee ends up reversing the decision. So Jerry Lawler ended up winning the match because they reversed the decision. Because Bret Hart wouldn't release the hold. And it kind of reminds me of WrestleMania 13 all over again. When he holds in the shades of WrestleMania when Bret Hart holds the sharpshooter in. But yeah, this Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart feud, this feud went a long time, I think till 95, with the Kiss My Foot match. So, they had a pretty good, pretty long feud going on. So I think they should have, instead of having Doink the Clown involved with all this and all those shenanigans, I think they should have just emptied the tank here. They should have just had Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler just go at it, singles match, and they should have just ended the feud here. Because, Jerry Lawler didn't like any of the Harts. He was disrespectful to him. This was over, King of the Ring and all that. So they had, a legitimate feud between Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart. But then you have all this silly wonkiness going on with Doink the Clown. Yeah, I just wasn't a fan of that at all. But, yeah, we'll move on to the next thing here, which we had Ludwig Borga going up against Marty Jannetty. And Ludwig Borga is another anti-American person, kind of going up against the U.S. Ludwig Borga had some, pretty good matches this year. He had a nice match with Shawn Michaels. But this was probably the weakest thing on the show. Ludwig Borga ends up putting a submission on Marty Jannetty. Marty Jannetty, he got some offense in the match, but it wouldn't be enough to contain Ludwig Borga. But yeah, Ludwig ended up winning by submission. Nothing special. Let's move on. And then the next match we had was the Rest in Peace match between The Undertaker and the Giant Gonzalez, with Harvey Whippleman in the corner of Giant Gonzalez. The rematch from WrestleMania 9. And the biggest difference here between WrestleMania 9 and SummerSlam is we had a more definitive finish here. And this is the face turn of Giant Gonzalez, but I don't think anybody really cared about the face turn of Giant Gonzalez. And so, Undertaker, he was getting beat up by Giant Gonzalez a lot throughout the match. And then halfway throughout the match, we have Paul Bearer comes out. He brings a black wreath out, for the burial, for the, rest in peace of Giant Gonzalez. But Paul Bearer grabs a urn and distracts Giant Gonzalez. Undertaker's on the top rope and hits a flying lariat off the top rope to get and then ends up getting the 1, 2, 3. So the winner of the match was Undertaker. And then after the match, we had Giant Gonzalez beat down Harvey Whippleman and basically set him to rest. Basically R.I.P. to Harvey Whippleman. No, like I said, nobody cared about the face turn of Giant Gonzalez. Nobody cared about him at all. So, yeah. And then the next match we had was a 6-man tag team match. We had Tatanka and the Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart, going up against Bam Bam Bigelow and the Head Shrinkers, Samu and Fatu, with Luna Vachon in the corner and Afa in the corner as well. I don't know. I felt like the placement of this match was just very weird. I think if this was earlier on the show, I think it would have been a lot better. But I just don't like where this was on the show. Tatanka, he was looking pretty good in the match. I mean, even though he had a silly gimmick, I thought, he made the best out for his gimmick. And then there was one point in the match where Bam Bam Bigelow and the Head Shrinkers, they did like a triple headbutt. I thought that was pretty cool. What was it? Tatanka, he was doing a lot of, fighting from behind in this match, basically. And there was one point where all three, so Bam Bam Bigelow and then the Wild Samoans, they went up for the Head Shrinkers, they went up to the top rope. They tried doing a flying headbutt. But Tatanka moved out of the way and ended up rolling up one of the Head Shrinkers to win the match. So, I mean, I thought the match was okay. I feel like the fans didn't really care about this match until like the last few minutes of this match here. And also, the Smoking Guns, they were kind of just here in the match. They weren't doing a whole lot. But yeah, this match was okay. I mean, Tatanka and the Smoking Guns ended up winning, like I said, when Tatanka did a roll-up. But then we'll move on to the main event, which we had was a singles match for the WWF Championship. We had Yokozuna defending the title against Lex Luger, and if Lex Luger lost, he would never be able to challenge Yokozuna for the WWF Championship while Yokozuna is champion. So during this time, this was kind of a transitional period. Like he had the whole steroid trials going on. What else did you have going on? I mean, Hulk Hogan, he was getting ready to, on his way out the door. So they were trying to find their next big, try to find their next guy here in WWF. And Lex Luger, he had that, big physique about him, and he was doing this like all-American type of gimmick, and Yokozuna, he was this anti-American, we've seen this so many times in WWF. And also, I didn't like this all-American type of gimmick. I like the narcissist, for Lex Luger better than the all-American type of gimmick. But I feel like they were trying to make Lex Luger like a Hulk Hogan and make Yokozuna like an Andre the Giant. I feel like that's what they were trying to do here. But I don't feel like it ended up failing here, to be honest. But yeah, they were trying to see if Lex Luger, could be the guy, see if they can run with it. Because Lex Luger, he was going around in this bus. I can't remember what the bus was called. But yeah, he was going around this bus. And, he had basically the smile on him, being all positive. And I think even Bruce Prichard, he was even saying, "Smile, Lex, smile." And, it just came off so not believable. I think even Bruce Prichard, wait, this is going to be the guy? This is our guy? What do we do if he wins? This is our guy. So I don't think the backstage believed him. And even Lex Luger said that, Vince didn't promise him the WWF Championship. He didn't promise him the WWF title at all. And then also, I felt like another thing that kind of hindered this match was, everybody kind of remembers what happened at WrestleMania where Hulk Hogan won the championship in 30 seconds and beat Yokozuna. I think that still left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. People weren't a fan of that. And the Yokozuna, he hasn't really held the title for that long. He's held it for a couple months. So, maybe if Yokozuna was more established, I would have been fine with maybe trying to put the title on to Lex Luger, and if Yokozuna was more established, and also I don't think people were really behind Lex Luger all like that, but yeah, I mean from a match standpoint, I thought the match was all right. Yokozuna, he looked alright. He had a nice belly to belly suplex in the match. I thought that was okay. Lex Luger, he had some great physique in this match. Like I said, Vince had a hard on for Lex Luger because of his physique, but Lex Luger was definitely more of a WCW guy. He wasn't really much of a WWF guy. He was more WCW. But it was pretty cool seeing Lex Luger do the body slam to Yokozuna in the match. I mean, Yokozuna looks like he had to do a lot to help out Lex Luger, but it was definitely a team effort there. They definitely worked together, help out doing that move. I think it kind of looked better than the WrestleMania 3 one. When Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. But it's kind of weird, this match where Lex Luger hits the body slam, but doesn't even go for the pin, or like he gets ready to go for like a 3-point stance, and then does like a clotheslines Yoko out the ring, and then he doesn't even attempt to get him back in the ring, and ends up doing the count out. I don't know, maybe like backstage was saying, hey, you should just be happy beating Yokozuna, even though you didn't win the title, you should just be happy beating him, by a count out. And that's basically what it was. They were just Lex Luger was just happy that he ended up beating Yokozuna, and it was by count out. And then we had all these balloons come down, and we had Macho Man and the Steiner Brothers, and I can't remember who else was out there. There was another person out there, but yeah, you had all of them, celebrating, putting Lex Luger on their shoulders, and the balloons are coming out. So I was kind of hiding a little bit of the, like, okay, there's some fans that don't, like some reactions that don't believe that, or some fans that don't believe Lex Luger is the guy, so they were kind of like masking that a little bit in a way. I don't know. I feel like they were trying to see if Lex Luger was the guy, but they never really ended up going a long way with him. Like I said, this was definitely transitional. Testing the waters to see who was going to be the next big thing for WWE or WWF at this point. But yeah, Lex Luger ended up winning the match. By count out. I don't know. I just don't like when matches or world championships end by count out or disqualification. But that was, this time and era in WWF or WWE, where a lot of matches ended that way, which is just terrible. But yeah, that was my SummerSlam 1993 review. Definitely the best match of the night was probably the tag team match between the Steiners and the Heavenly Bodies. That's the match I definitely recommend checking out. Everything else on this show is meh to me. Like, this SummerSlam is one I don't really recommend watching. The only reason why I watched it is just to do this review here for you guys. But yeah, some things I got coming out on my channel are, so I'm going to be doing a review for Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor later on this weekend. I got some more watch-alongs to do on my channel. Some more retro reviews as well. Got a lot of content coming out on my channel, even more reactions. So definitely stay tuned. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, turn on that notification bell to be notified every time I make a new video. Hit that like button. Go down in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to see on my channel. And this is your boy Juggernaut saying peace out, and I will catch you guys in my next video.